What if I told you there's a dog breed that is a fanatic in the field, but also calm and gentle at home? I'm guessing you already have some dog breeds in mind that don't fit that description. What if I told you this dog breed works upland fields, it points, retrieves on both land and water, and has excellent tracking ability? If that intrigues you, like it did when I first learned about this breed, then stay tuned. If that doesn't interest you, hey, thanks for making it this far. Comment down below your favorite breed of dog and why, and hopefully we'll see you next time. For the rest of you, are you ready? Let's go. The breed we're talking about today is a German versatile hunting dog called the Kleine Münsterländer. Kleine translates to small in English, so they're often referred to as small Munsterlanders, but we usually just refer to them as KLMs for short. Before we dive too deep, I'd like to know if you've ever heard of the KLM breed before. Comment below and let us know. If you haven't heard of this breed, I'm not surprised. There is a good reason for that. The KLM was developed in the Munster region of Germany, and although breed clubs have existed since the early 1900s, they only started to arrive in small numbers in the United States in the 70s. Although they are much more prevalent today and have quickly gained in popularity, many people I come across are not familiar with the breed. When people ask, "What breed is that?" I often reply with, "What's your guess?" Most people either say, "I have no idea," or they think it's a Springer. I see why people guess Springer, but if you look at these two breeds side by side, you can easily tell they are not the same breed. But that does beg the question, what breeds were used in the development of the KLM? That's a great question, and one that there seems to be some disagreement over. According to the KLM GNA, which is the breed club for the KLM breed in the United States, the systematic breeding of hunting dogs only began in the middle of the 19th century, and so it was with the KLM. Two breeders are documented who regularly bred KLMs in their kennels, both living in the Munster region of Germany. In the KLMs that they bred, it said that they were to have North German tracking and pointing dogs from hundreds of years older. It's also likely that their bloodlines were intermingled with Belgium and French Epignols. I got my first KLM in 2017, and so began my journey into the world of German versatile hunting dogs. Now, I'm not here just to gloat over these dogs. I want to share my experience and be real with you. I've hunted all over the country with my dogs and other KLMs, and I have a good amount of experience in the field and also watching these dogs at tests. One of the biggest things I think they have that makes them a great dog is a switch. They're driven hunting dogs that know how to turn it off and be chill at home. Jetta, who you see right over here, is one of the most driven dogs I've ever seen, yet in the house or in the garage, she can lay around like she doesn't have a care in the world. Number two, the KLMs are very intelligent. And obviously this is a good thing, but I will also point out some things when we get to the other side of the KLM. Number three, versatility and adaptability. I like to hunt a little bit of everything, and I've hunted pheasants, ducks, quail, grouse, and huns all over the country. I've hunted in prairies, woods, thick cattails, deserts, and every step, these dogs seem to adapt very, very well. I also hunt deer and have used my dogs for blood tracking. I actually also know a guy that has used his dogs for finding morel mushrooms. The world of possibilities is pretty vast. Number four, they have a mild temperament. While Jetta is a straight up killer in the field, she's so mild-mannered at home. She's enjoyable to be around most of the time. More on that later. Number five, I think these dogs are just beautiful. Now that's a personal preference, but I love the smaller packages, the feathered tail and the legs. They look very elegant. They got that longer hair on their ears and a tuft of hair on their head. Very beautiful eyes as well. All around, a great looking dog. Now if I'm gonna shoot straight, for all their strengths, there can be some things that can potentially get under your skin. Number one, they have a great switch and mild temperament. There is no real downside to this other than they may be chill in the house, but beware. When you let them out, they may have secretly had their eye on a squirrel or some type of critter, and you open that door, boom, the chase is on. Those dogs are hunting. Number two, they're very intelligent. And sometimes when you're training these dogs, they have a way of fooling you. It can be hard to tell if they don't know what you're asking of them or if they're just flat out playing you. This somewhat depends on the temperament of the dog. Some dogs like Jetta have such a high drive that they want to hunt and work for themselves. There are pros and cons to this. There are dogs, kind of like we got Charlie over here. She's more eager to please and hunt for you. But there's also pros and cons to this. If you lock your dogs up, you may need to cover all your bases, because if there's a way that they can get out, they will figure it out. Very intelligent. Number 3, with versatility. Versatility is awesome. I love that about these dogs, but sometimes it's very frustrating. When you're hunting, say, pheasants in some thick cattails, and your dog finds and fights more raccoons than it does pheasants, would maybe just be one of the examples. Some of these dogs have super high prey drives, and they may be more prone to find any critter with fur or feathers, even if that's not what you're looking for. We've had our fair share of encounters with coons, skunks, and fortunately only one porcupine, and one wild boar while quail hunting in New Mexico. Number 4, these dogs are beautiful. And what could be the downside of that? Well, let me tell you, burrs. We have a lot of burdock around here, and with their beautiful long hair, yes, it does attract a lot of birds. So we've done our fair share of brushing these dogs out. Now, I think it's worth it, but I told you I'd share a little bit of the downsides. There you have it, shooting straight. Earlier I mentioned the KLM GNA. This is the Kleine Münsterländer Group North America. This club was established in 2013 for the purpose of preserving and protecting the KLM versatile hunting dog in North America. In 2014, KLM GNA became a Landesgruppe, or essentially a chapter of the Verband für Kleine Münsterländer, the first Landesgruppe outside of Germany, actually. As a chapter, we adhere to the bylaws and breeding regulations of our parent club while building productive relationships with fellow chapters of the Verband für Kleine Münsterländer in Germany. Okay, Steve, so what does all that really mean? Well, it means that we must pass rigorous testing and adhere to very strict standards to breed these dogs, which in general means healthy, good temperament, field-proven hunting dogs for you. If you want to breed dogs in the KLM GNA club, you have to go through rigorous testing. They're tested for versatile hunting performance in the JGHV German testing system before they're allowed to be bred. These tests evaluate the natural abilities and performance of the KLM in field, water, and forest. The very first test that any hopeful breeder must pass is called the VJP. It's a natural ability test, and in this test, the dog must prove a natural ability to use its nose and track as well as search and point. This test is done in the spring, and it's not very reliant on excellent training, although they do look at cooperation as part of this test. The most significant thing that they are looking for is the pure natural ability of the dog. I've ran 3 dogs through this test and have passed with all 3. However, 2 of the dogs were evaluated after the test and were then disqualified from breeding because of an underbite. Then, with the VJP out of the way, the big test is in the fall. This is called the HZP, and it's a test that requires dogs to be able to accomplish many tasks at a high level. Here's just a few examples of what these dogs have to be able to do. You send your dog out into the water to retrieve a duck. Yeah, that's easy enough. And then they shoot nearby to the dog, and they want to see that the dog will continue to make that retrieve without breaking and being distracted by gunfire. These dogs also have to prove that they're very capable with a blind duck retrieve, blind duck search, field search and point, 2 different tracks that make this test very intense. I remember the first time I ran this test, the last thing I had to do was a rabbit track. So on this one, the judges will drag a rabbit out 300 meters. Your dog does not see it. You walk up to where the judges started the track, and you put your dog on track, and you can walk up to, I think, 10 meters or so. Don't quote me on that. And then you just have to send your dog out. And on this particular test, Jetta ran up over a little hill, and she disappeared. And I thought, it all hinges on this. If she comes back without that rabbit, or if she drops it on the way and leaves it, we're done. We had passed everything else with flying colors, but it all hinged on this. Luckily, Jetta came up over that hill carrying the rabbit in her mouth. I was incredibly relieved, and Jetta passed the HZP. In fact, Jetta that year received the Yesinghausen Award for the highest cumulative score in the VJP and the HZP. So you pass these two tests and you think you're golden. Well, think again. Breeding dogs must also be judged in a breed show and conformation to the FCI standards for that breed. Hunting dogs must also have a sound structure in order to fulfill their required tasks on both land and water and are judged for fluid movement. Temperament is also judged with the expectation that all breeding dogs show confidence, stability, and friendliness towards other dogs, and guess what? People as well. Additionally, their hips are x-rayed and results are sent to a veterinary orthopedic expert in Germany for rating, and only dogs with highly rated hips and sound family health backgrounds may be bred. Although these requirements are stringent, they help to ensure that the resulting puppies fulfill the expectations of their new owners as healthy, capable hunting dogs built to work and to be a wonderful family companion as well. Okay, so you go through all that and finally you are qualified to breed a particular dog and you have a licensed kennel that meets all the requirements as well. After that, you gotta find another dog to breed with. We have opportunities as KLM GNA to import semen and do artificial from Germany. Some of our club members have gone to Germany to breed their dogs. Otherwise, we have breeding dogs here in the United States. So for Jetta, we have to find a stud. And when we are looking for a stud, KLM GNA has something very cool called DogBase. DogBase has tens of thousands of dogs in it over a period of time with all sorts of different data points to help us put out the best dogs possible. So I'll actually go to the breed warden and say, hey, I'm looking to breed Jetta. What would be some good pairing options? And they'll run DogBase numbers and look at their pairing numbers. They come up with things such as epilepsy coefficient, inbreed coefficient. They want to look and make sure you got the right hips with the dogs. They're going to be looking at height, making sure we're not breeding too big dogs consistently and getting bigger and bigger dogs, and different stuff like that, which is super fascinating just to have this guidance within the club of what dogs should be bred. And then once we put out litters, we encourage everybody that buys a KLM dog to run the VJP, that natural ability test, because then that gives us more and more feedback for DogBase. We know what types of litters we're putting out and what type of natural ability these dogs have. And of course, we always encourage people to run the HZP as well. And this is what I always say. When you run the HZP, because everyone that buys these dogs, we only sell them to hunting families. You want a great hunting dog, great companion in the field and in home. And if you're going to train for the HZP, you are guaranteed to have a well-trained dog if you want any chance at passing. So it kind of puts that pressure on you where it's like, hey, I'm going to run the HZP, I better get the work done. Because, you know, it's easy to let days and weeks and months go by, I know, without putting the work into your dogs. Oh, hey, by the way, you probably noticed, we currently have puppies with what will be Jetta's last litter. We do have a link below on our website where you can inquire about a pup from this litter, or if you're looking for litters in the future, we'll also put a link to the KLM GNA Breed Club website as well. KLM GNA, by the way, is the only breed club in North America recognized by the Verband für Kleine Münsterländer, the parent club of the breed, and its global affiliate, KLM International. The KLM breed is one of the many amazing breeds that are available, and whether you ever make one part of your family or not, I hope that you enjoyed learning about this fascinating breed. If you like this video and like to see us highlight any other hunting breeds, let us know down in the comments. Remember, whether you're in the field or in life, you're only gonna hit those shots you're laser focused on. So live target focused. See ya.